Hey, this is going to be the part two of the Dark Side of Airbnb, The Last Straw. Didn't think there would be a need for a part two, except that I have now, 1 month after filing the claim, received the conclusions from Airbnb. If you remember, this is the guest that decided to bring 12 people, which is 10 more than what they booked, and 4 dogs, large dogs. Left cracked pipes, messed the house up, destroyed the floor, etc. So I'm going to show a few of those images and what Airbnb's conclusion was, or partial conclusion. The saga does still continue, since they have not even responded to the claim for extra guest fees. So let me show you a few of the images. I'm going to flick through these things pretty quickly, I think, because otherwise it just takes so long. A couple of people on the deck, the first day of check-in. 3 more people in a different vehicle arriving, one of the dogs. Same people-ish, I think. Different people, different person, different people, another different person, same person. Different vehicle, late at night this time, different people arriving. Different dog, another dog, another person arriving in a different vehicle. Next morning, somebody else arriving in the same vehicles. Another different vehicle, another person, and the saga just continues. These are, you can see the snow and ice on the vehicles that spent the night. So clearly they were all at the property overnight. This is a great one. Whole truckload of stuff arriving. Just another dog blurred on the camera. More people arriving. Probably the same. Guy carrying a gun. That's interesting. Looks almost like he's wearing a uniform as well. Firearms are not allowed on the property. Another image of the same guy carrying a gun. Next morning, people going out to their vehicle that clearly spent the night. It's in the same location. So I'm just going to flash through these things pretty fast. So in total, we counted 12 different people and 4 different dogs. Different file formats as I download them from the security camera. This is interesting, right? I tried to reach the guest multiple times, asking them how many people were staying. He hadn't responded. I texted him, I emailed him, I called him, and eventually he decides to confirm that he had 3 people staying the night and 9 more people that came with his sister only for Christmas morning, according to this text message. That sister brought their 3 dogs. So in his text messages, he confirms that although the booking was for 2, he actually had 3. And instead of 1 dog, he had 4. And then he had 9 guests that came only for Christmas morning, according to him. The photographs, of course, are endless. The photographs are every single day, every morning, every afternoon, every night. 3 different vehicles at different times, different dogs, different people doing stuff. And he stayed for 5 days, and the vehicles stayed overnight covered in snow. So I have photographs from every single morning, every single afternoon, every single night. This is, in fact, 30 minutes after the checkout time where everybody is loading up their vehicles. I'm parked just simply watching and waiting as they all leave the property with their bags. And this was 4 days after Christmas. Hence, of course, the rather silly suggestion that they came only for Christmas Day. This is the trash that was left behind, or at least some of it, and interestingly enough, these cardboard boxes, the one that's standing up at the back is for an air mattress. Here's some of the dog damage. Here's more of the dog damage. More of the dog damage. Just tore the floor to pieces. 4 labs, pit bulls, and a mutt or 2 tearing the place up. I don't know how or why they removed the door handles off the kitchen cabinets, but they did, and then put them back on wonky, and the screw threads were cross-threaded, so we actually have to remove them, replace the screws. Very strange. Just trash left laying around. Dog damage, dog wanting to come back in, I'm sure, after being let out on its own. Yes, there's a house rule that says that dogs have to be under control at all times. You can't simply open the door and let them go. More trash, of course, more filth, more dog damage, more dog damage. Pet hair all over the furniture, even though that the house rule is to keep the animals off the furniture at all times. Dog, I'm guessing, peed on the bed, on the dog bed, that is. Somebody vomited on the bedspread on one of the beds. Don't know why they would wipe a mirror with something filthy, but they decided to do that. Another air mattress. This is a different box, so multiple air mattresses, boxes for air mattresses, I mean, left behind, yet the claim is only 3 people stayed the night. And there are beds for 4 people, so, and a 5th person could be on the couch. So 3 people required the 5 beds that we have, plus 2 additional queen mattresses. This is how they left the place. So that's fine. There's no complaint with regard to this, but look at the dog scratches. And they'd moved the beds and moved the furniture so the air mattresses could slip between these 2 beds. This was interesting. Crack pipe left behind. I call it crack pipe. The residue was brownish, which perhaps was heroin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bags of trash. That's the dog wanting to get out of the house. And that was my total claim. There's a handwritten note, of course, for just to help explain it, and I'll leave that on screen. So I charged an extra $200 for cleaning fees because of the amount of trash and vomit and dog urine that was knocking around. Charged $100 for the kitchen cabinet handles that we have to remove, replace the screws, and remount them all. $1,500 for the floor damage. We had a quote for almost $3,000. So this was 50% of the floor damage, because there was some small damage to the floor prior to the claim. So we figured a 50% claim was perfectly okay. $300 for the door and frame. 10 extra guests at the $30 each fee that we have for extra guest fees. That's $1,500 as a single item. 3 extra dogs. We charge $30 per stay, per pet. We would never have approved 4 pets, but they did bring 4, so there's an extra 3. Stolen property. There are 3 dog balls that were stolen. I put an extra heating fee on here because we had shut off the gas. The central electric system more than copes, and they had turned the gas on themselves out at the tank in order to use the gas fire in addition to the electric heat. There were also some criminal violations that the police department is moving forward. So let me go through these things and tell you what Airbnb told me. So extra cleaning fee, Airbnb approved that. Damage to the kitchen cabinets, they did not approve, and have told me they cannot understand why I would claim $100 for cabinet handles that simply need to be turned around to be fixed, which of course is ridiculous. Damage to the floor, they have rejected the claim, claiming that the floor damage was clearly, from the photographs, their word was clearly, done over a period of time and not just by one guest. Now, I could have made the point that since all of our guests are from Airbnb, it's still their responsibility, whether it's multiple guests or not, they still need to pay us to fix the floor. However, I only claimed 50% of the damage because way more than 50% was done by this one guest and its 4 dogs. So that is still pending. Currently, they've rejected the claim. So if their point is that since it was not all done by this one guest, they're not going to pay us anything, which is a little bizarre. Damage to the door and frame. They've actually asked me a question. How did I derive the $300 for the door and frame? I have in fact given them the quote that includes the door and frame, but they've just missed it, I'm sure, with all of the imageries. So that's still pending. Extra guests, extra dogs. They are passing that forwards to a specialized team that deals with claims of that type. It has now already been 1 month. It is now January the 29th. We submitted this claim on December the 26th, which was during the person's stay. They left on the 27th, I think, or 28th. So it's just over 1 month since they left. They have paid the dog bowl fee but have given us $20 to replace the 3 very nice dog bowls that we had. Extra heating fee, they haven't even commented on that. So that is the current position of Airbnb's response. One of the issues with all this is not just the difference between a claim and what has been settled. The difference is the degree of pain that Airbnb put you through as well. So all of these photographs and more were submitted into the system during this guest stay because we had to ask Airbnb for help to remove this guest. Airbnb claimed that they help with those things, and the help they give you is to tell you to call the police. They don't call the guest, they don't manage the guest, because if they were to tell the guest to leave, they believe that the guest would do more damage. And because they would be responsible for that damage, they don't tell the guest to leave. Now, while that is true, and I believe it, because clearly they've had this kind of experience before, that's not fair and that's not helpful. When you have a guest that has to be removed, you do need help from someone, or you are faced with, of course, whatever that guest decides to do, including the fact that they're carrying firearms. So I submitted all these photographs. One department, the safety team, responded quickly. They looked at all the photographs. They actually removed this guest from the Airbnb platform. So this guest is now not able to book any further stays with Airbnb. What they will do is change their name, re-establish a new account, use a different initial perhaps for their Christian name, and that's all it takes with Airbnb to establish a new account. So I'm sure that'll do them no harm whatsoever. The credit card that they have on file will not be charged because the fee itself for the stay was not paid by the guest. The card was declined twice when Airbnb tried to collect the fee. So these charges are entirely on Airbnb. They tell us we have $1 million worth of insurance coverage, that we have extra guest fees covered, we have damage covered, and so far, out of $3,780 of a claim, they have approved $350, and it's been a month. So we have the $350, or at least we will. They won't send it to us until we accept that as full closure for the claim, which I'm not doing because the floor is damaged and we did have a boatload of extra guests. So we're still waiting. This is what it's like working with Airbnb.